there are multiple paths that you can take in your life, and yet another manipulation that is trying to be pushed, particularly through the universities, is the lack of free will, and thus the lack of responsibility that you feel for your choices. Like, so I lived in North Atlanta. I've been exposed to everything. I've done everything. I'm inspired by Robert Kennedy, who I don't want to get into politics, but maybe I vote for him over you know who. I don't know, man. It's never smart to talk politics, but come on, Romney versus Obama. You've got to see that that's the exact same thing, right? You know, but this is something different. I'm hoping that there's a chance against the evil in the world when people like him pop up. But he mentioned that he was addicted to H since high school and such and such. And I greatly respect him for his openness. I was doing opiates for a different reason, for extreme pain, and to be frank, just to constipate me so I didn't go to the bathroom 40 plus times a day. A lot of times I was doing kratom, but sometimes, shout out RP. I ain't with the internet like a lot of, like maybe you would expect as someone that was the coded for big names, actually, a few big names. I like, started at a very young age. I was coding and getting paid for coding and writing since the age of 13. Technically, I was pro at 13. And shout out to Alex, because I've always been a massive fan of aesthetics. That's perhaps why I love looking at myself in the mirror. But seriously, I would update his website and it would be changed. There's like a few blogs that I would do that, and they would truly care about the art. And some designers would care about the art, and that's been completely dead with mobile and everything gets sanitized. It was a very short time, unfortunately, but it was a cool time, and there was this new aesthetics of website design that used a combination of math and color and structure. It was cool. And again, shout out to Alex. Marketer's delight. He never got the respect he deserved. He interned with one of the best, one of the legends in the design industry. He never got as big as he should have, just because of the time and place. Unfortunately, there's waves, and he caught the end of it just by pure luck. Like, you have people like Derek Halpern that's retiring right now, having kids and stuff, and was with a thesis from Chris Pearson. And if the whole wave was just earlier, lasted longer, Alex would be up there right now. So shout out to him. I hope he's doing well. I haven't spoken to him in a long time. Now, so I was from the north, right? And me and my best friend, we kind of started going crazy at the exact same time by happenstance. Well, there was a person. Both of it was because our families were going through things. Of course, I'll never speak of his family or even mine, but that was really the timing, and that was why it both was happenstance that we started kind of wilding out. Unfortunately or fortunately, because it teaches you a lot about you know, at least it's better to. It's pretty much always better to be out the house to in the house, even if out the house you're doing stupid. Though I mean, obviously there are levels to stuff. Not if you're committing crimes and such. That's different. You know, okay, or crimes you'll get caught for. So I guess technically, you know, wasn't exactly necessarily 100%. So anyway, like since I was a teenager, I've been going to clubs, and at the north we had we had this Mexican club. I'll be the only white boy, and we had this other teen club that eventually got shut down, the teen night, because girls were getting kidnapped. But then I remember graduating at like 18, and then like the whole clubbing thing was yours, and started to drink and such, and that was really where I mean truly 17, where the start of substances, and particularly marijuana, which I wouldn't even though it was legal in my state, I wouldn't even do now, haven't done. But that back in the day, you could smoke some dank, have 2-3 drinks, and man, you'd be feeling great. Like my friend used to always get mad at me because I mess with the girls, mess with the after party because I'll be too in my zone to not even care about the females, and just be like 17, 18 or whatever, and but my best friend, he was super mad when I had my first when I found Avery, which is trash, because you should never be mad at your friend for finding happiness, but we resolved that and matured and such. But because I was a damn good wingman, I was for my homie in college that we used to over hang out and get girls, to be frank, and I was for him, but he was like, he was definitely the Kanye West now is Pusha T. Like we'd be in Ibiza, which was a nice clean club. It was more like a rave / club, and I never did Molly back in that for quite a long time. I refused Molly, even though I was offered it 1 trillion times, starting spring break when I was 17 and such. I was cool on the dank and the alcohol and such, and but he would always just find these out of nowhere. He'd be like, yo, bro, I found this Brazilian model, yo, let's go. Like, cause I'd be like over in the crowd. I'd be like, man, you BSing. He's like, nah, bro, come see. And it's like, I go and man, this happened this time. It'd be like rich Mexican girl, be like white girl somehow he knew from like his college, ran a Spanish club. Like this dude was like so extroverted and charismatic, and and then I would play support. Like I wouldn't have to do no work because he would always be finding the best parties, the boat parties on Lake Lanier, in Georgia, which clubs to go to, which house party, etc. In Atlanta, being with the minority is extremely helpful, which I completely understand. It's just other minorities trust you more when you're cool with a minority. I can understand that. Like they ain't exactly like you going to their parties and such, especially if women are involved. If you're not, you know what I'm saying. I think, but my whole life I've been with minorities. I've never really hung out with white people, as I think I've said before. So yeah, it's like There'd be like he's like, yo, get these Brazilians, and it's like, I like dance with a friend. I'm like, this girl went out. I start kissing her, and it's like it worked, you know. And Chris is like, bro, they candy flipping. That's the first time I ever heard. It was like mixing LSD and E or what have you and stuff. And you know, things that escalated from there. That was really just the very beginning. But I can tell you, as someone that has done everything, I don't need to go into details. I just want, I've provided enough details. I'm sorry. But this life is so much better. The stage of my life is so much better when you move past that. And I truly wish that I had never done a lot of the things that I've done. But I know guidance, and this is definitely no respect against my parents, but they were completely cool about it. I mean, at least once I got to a certain age, like, my dad would call me Sinatra and such and such. I'd be waking. Like I said, I ain't gonna go into many details, but I was just looking out into nature today and thought, that I could have continued down this path and enjoyed truly. And look, I hate feminism. I want to make that clear. But truly, it is an abuse of our woman, and it's sick that we just we put this up on women, and they think they're empowered. Meanwhile, it all goes to the men. Ironically, it's so. The other thing that Robert Kennedy said was how isolating substance use is, and that's also the truth. At first, it's social, and it definitely helps with girls. I've never seen someone that's into substances that ain't get with girls for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they're kind of on the edge in a certain type of female like that. But eventually you turn to isolation. You just listen to the same record over and over, trying to force yourself to get work done in a trash state, etc. Sometimes when you're feeling lonely, tasting good, it quickly develops into sad, like as everything does that's short-term evil. That's why it's a deal with the devil always, always. There's no exception. Whatever vice you choose, and there's no exception. It will always turn on you. It will always start out nice, and it will always turn on you. It's a problem when it comes to raising, say, teenagers, because parents say, "Oh, this is just terrible, terrible, terrible," and then if they try something, they're like, "What? My parents were lying to me. This is great." But what they should be saying, it's terrible in the long run. I understand why they don't say that, because then they're like, well, then the temptation to try in the short term and be like, oh, I'm straight. But maybe that's better. I don't know. I think honesty tends to always be at least a little bit better. I know this world is complex and fallen and such, but even when it comes to pre-adults, I still think is most honesty as is reasonable is the best way. So when I was more lucky than Robert Kennedy Jr. in that when I stopped doing everything, this was after my emergency surgery when I was on over 200 milligrams of oxy a day, and such. I was in the hospital because the withdrawals were so intense that I was having seizures, so they had to monitor me and whatever. And I came out that, never did it again. Nothing on the street, nothing. I had these surgeries and such where I would have to take opiates. I wasn't like fiending, not in the slightest. So I'm lucky I don't have an addict's brain, because as he was saying, like, he was extremely disciplined, and I believe him, and yet he's had to go to NA every single day to get rid of that urge. So I'm very lucky, and opioids are by far my favorite drug. Just like Robert Kennedy, they stimulated me, rather than sedated me, and that's what I enjoyed, stimulating euphoria, which isn't necessarily the majority, I don't think. But anyways, this whole time I've been in intense pain, and I've used kratom as a substitute and such, but it's nowhere close. And anytime that I've not been in pain, I've been off. And I have to respect myself for that, because even if you ignore all these wild health issues I dealt with, a lot of people will be done with that amount of opioids alone. That's the truth. So, part of it is my own discipline, part of it is just luck, but still I have to be, well, really the best response to that is thankfulness. So, there you go. I'm falling away from the horrors of such things. Unfortunately, once you open these doors, they're never closed, and that's definitely something to remember. Because even if it's not your DOC, then it's like all of this other thing is nowhere close to as enjoyable. So I can handle this, etc. So thank you for listening. I'll see you tomorrow.